Rob Ellis, Horizontal Land Partners. This week we heard that nobody likes my deal in Ohio. Everybody wants Texas and Florida. And so we've got a submarket that we like that has some great opportunities. And we're going to start with a county level, and then we're going to break it down. This is, I don't even know how to spell it. Yeah. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Let's see. Volusia.
Volusia.
Volusia. Volusia.
Volusia.
Volusia. Volusia. That's easy. Volusia County. All righty. What is Volusia County? And I have some friends that live up here. This is very nice. Okay. You have a couple small cities in here, and you got some extra small cities. We like to look, this is a great population center. It touches Orange County. Let's check Orange County. Oh, there might be two counties in between them. So this, what county is Sanford in? Seminole County. All righty. So Seminole County. It's even less than, that's surprising, but Volusia County is closer to the beach. And Osceola as well is an amazing county. So we may have found our little place that we're going to operate. A lot of the times we want major highways coming through. And this is a circulation artery between Orlando and North and South, these counties. If you look at, gosh, these are amazing, these counties. So Osceola, Seminole, and Volusia. And you can see that Volusia, since the 70s, they all been growing pretty consistently. Although Osceola County is kind of closing the gap on Seminole. So, and normally that's going to be driven by the number of available population centers. How many cities are in Seminole County? We want to do more like municipalities. 7 municipalities. Let's try Volusia. 16, double, which is amazing for infrastructure, and it's amazing for growth. And we'll look at Osceola. Let's try townships. 16. Let's try Volusia. 16. Let's try Seminole. 7 incorporated. Wow, that's strange. They should be centered around townships. So you see Seminole County is going to be tough. Let's try Orange, which is where Okay, so you see that actually Volusia County is this is where we're gonna bring in just data aggregation. Volusia County number of new residents every year. There you go, 10,000. Natural population growth, economic development, healthcare, education, and tourism, migration, retirees, lower cost of living. Cost of living is one of the big ones, and it's from everywhere, from Orlando, we call these growth corridors. And these are areas where you're moving out of a big city or away from that. If you look at Osceola County as well, the difference is this is a lot more, you see there's just two very small, there's a little bit of Poinciana, but it's the same thing. It incorporates a little bit of good areas, but the majority of the county is wildlife. So if we look up here in Volusia County, it is an amazing market to do land deals in. It has a large amount of highways in it. How many miles of highway are in Volusia County? You see that I-95, I-4, and US 92, which are really good for that. You could say, how does this compare to Polk County? Polk's another very fast growing county. It's gone as high as so that means it can absorb a lot if it has that. If you look at Osceola, it's going to be a lot. You can't just look at this. You have to look at the number of cities and municipalities and other things. It might have a lot too, but a lot of it's wildlife. 1,800. And access to public infrastructures. Is this a good determination of ability to access public utilities? Road mileage also correlates with development density. More roads means more developed areas. Higher likelihood of potential. Public utilities tend to run alongside existing right-of-ways. That's right. Rural road, Polk and Volusia have large rural, but none. Better indicators of utility access. Utility provided service boundary zoning overlays or comprehensive plan maps Can you do a weighted average of all of these on these 3 counties and rank them top to bottom for development capacity? Here's a weighted development capacity index, Volusia, Polk, and Osceola. Because if we get started, I'm not trying to stop developing in a county. Land area, public road mileage. They just said it was something different. Land area, population. Road density, miles per square mile. Road per capita. Development capacity index, weighted. Strongest infrastructure per land. Yes, as many different measuring as you can. I mean, all of these too. And overall net migrations, etc. for land development. If we are weighing all of these. Number of municipalities or townships, net migrations, etc. So we're looking at, if we just look for 20 minutes on these 3 counties. That's why we started to look around at different population centers. Volusia County leads in infrastructure, utilities robust, supported by multiple wastewater and treatments. The county zoning and land use are well developed. Comprehensive overlays. Polk County balanced scores. Its utility access are extensive with multiple water. The zoning and land use are comprehensive. And then infrastructure is less extensive. Based on the weighted, Volusia County offers the highest development capacity, followed by Polk and Osceola. However, Osceola's rapid population growth suggests significant potential for future development, which is kind of what we're seeing. And what about net migrations and land availability? If we look at net migrations, this is where Polk's going to take off. There's way more people moving there, but it's hard to find land. Yes. And so what we do is if we focus on land in overlay districts to start for the first 6 months. So assigned a future overlay or land that hasn't been purchased within a city. That's right. Pre-assigned future land use with a fast track rezone. Strong entitlement, municipal infrastructure, eligibility for incentives. Massive. It's massive. Comprehensive plan. This is what we're doing. Utility access, parcel sales history, entitlement. Which one? It seems like it's harder to find lower land in Polk, and it has less municipalities or less land within an incorporated area. If we just did the amount of counties incorporated versus unincorporated and pure number of municipalities, what would it be? So this shows that if I'm next to a municipality and I want to bring it in, what's the best county for me to do that in? Yeah, this is a better sign for us. For fast track, it's good that it's incorporated. It means for infill development, fast track with utilities, it's very easy. That 15% is represents how many acres? I'm saying how many acres within these three counties are within incorporated areas. We're looking at amount of land within incorporated areas as the number one driver. Higher share of its land within its cities. More fast-tracked infill with utilities already in place. Can you do this across the fastest growing counties in Florida that have more than 10,000 new residents on average? I think there are about 16, and basically use all these metrics and townships and miles of major highways to rank potential counties of focus for fast growth, infill, neighborhood, land development within 6 months to flat is our focus for the first 6 months. So what we're doing is we're looking at how fast can I get a project done? Is it within the city in an overlay? And can I just replat it? Is it incorporated? What this can't do is look at the cost of land, but that's what we've done already in a lot of these counties. It's impossible for it to understand the land market because they're not in it every day. You have to tie it to jobs and number of new building permits and supply. Prioritize counties with a balance of high net migration, substantial incorporated land, and robust. And let's look at how much incorporated land are in these top 5 or 10 as a breakout, and do a full write-up on emerging infrastructure rich and incorporated rich counties. So if you needed to know why deals are getting done, this is the backbone. This is essentially the backbone of our investment thesis, which is net migrations, infrastructure, municipalities of various sizes, extensive highway networks, large amount of utility for sewer and water that's robust and mature, national builder presence within 45-mile drive of major job centers, amenity rich or affordable, multiple demographics reflecting full life cycle development potential in master planned communities, amenities within the area, and access to things like the beach, good weather, safety, job growth. These are all of the metrics we need and a top 3 to focus on. Now you can say something, but you have to be able to find land. That's the problem. What yours can't account for is the advanced difficulty of finding land within municipalities and quick zoning and proximity to other residential etc. But if this was supposed to be a 5-year backbone plan on where our land fund would 5x its value through the sale, zoning, installation of infrastructure, extensions into subdivisions, and ultimate sale to builders, where is the top counties, and come up with your recommended first 2 that you think we can find extensive land availability or fast track entitlements. I'm seeing Volusia right now as the leader, but you can look for others. Areas like Deltona are unbelievable. It could be city growth rates too, I'm not sure, or affordability and ability to absorb non-luxury entry-level housing that's at a lower density, like 5 units per acre. It's normally not waterfront or land constrained markets. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. What are the best? And I think it's going to be Polk, Pasco, Osceola, but we haven't looked over there as much. And obviously there's lots. the presence of top tier master planned communities also helps. I think slightly lower growth rates in the best counties mean it's less competitive and the land absorption is slower. So if you look at the tiers, uptrending, basically uptrending fast growth that aren't as top like Polk. I think Volusia again is the perfect example. Do a full write-up on the 6-month horizon, or let's call it 12 months of land investment thesis for fast absorbing for most horizontal availability with a weighted average of all these impacts. So this is like you can't get this where I'm from. There's nothing growing like this. There's not one county growing like the counties down here, which is the whole point. It means that we need to go to the right areas, which is what I started the video with. Hey, I'll do anywhere in Florida. I don't care where it's at. We talked about there were some conversations of soft absorbing markets, which are areas like Ocala and Gainesville. There's not college grads moving there. And those are high paying jobs. If you could put the incomes in with this too. And you have to have your own investment thesis, but it doesn't matter to us because back where I'm from right now, I'm working on a deal that has, oh gosh, it has power lines going through it. It has a walking trail right behind it. It has potential dumping. But brownfield sites are where money's made, especially large brownfield sites. It's not as popular down here. This is greenfield development versus brownfield development. But just because you have a site, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We're getting a phase 1 environmental on that site because we thought there might have been, I don't know. They don't even know. It was never a landfill. But if we clear it, we're in good shape. So we'd have to do some boring probably. If we have a phase 1 and boring, that's enough for them to look at it. But we want to make sure that really it's the professional tone of a phase 1 environmental that helps us set the stage of if we should move forward on this site or not. Do we think it's cost prohibitive? Or are things headed in the right direction? We were very split. And when we tie sites up, these are a lot different down here in Florida. There's not the infrastructure. No one ever developed them. There hasn't been, we can look at old maps. As we get more thorough in our skill sets, we start to look now through maps of how those lands were used over time. But if they've been in a marshland in a low laying field, it'll be like that, based on top counties, high incorporated land percentage, approximately 40%, streamlined zoning and permitting. That's fast track. We don't want our cycle times to be a year. Robust, well-established utility networks offering water and sewer. Transportation access, major highways, I-95, I-4, home to 16 municipalities, and affordable. Market competition while growing, it's less saturated. Pasco, significant population growth, higher net migrations, infrastructure development is ongoing, road expansions, located within 45-mile radius, master plan communities, which we don't have as much of. Entry point for developers. And we're an entry level land fund, right? So we need to go where we have it. Presence of large scale master plan communities and incorporated land. Strategic focus, Volusia Pasco development. And can you offer an expanded narrative on some of the other considerations and why those counties aren't around the state of Florida? What we have heard is some markets are soft, like Gainesville, Ocala. They don't have net new jobs. And I think that is run by job center corridors. This is also landlocked, unlike some others. All of Volusia is landlocked by other growing counties. It's infill growth corridor, like Springfield, Ohio, between Dayton and and this is really where you're gonna get some experience, like Dayton and Columbus. But the difference is that distance, I think, needs to be less than 90 miles. If not, you get what happened in Charlotte County. Let me double check. Yep, Charlotte County, where there is years of supply and it is overbuilt because there is no job center growth. They only have one type of person moving there, which is 55 plus. Retirees for affordability. You don't have job opportunities like major metros. So I think job center anchor is super important for college degree graduates to move. Where are their options? And my friends moved to Daytona Beach or New Smyrna Beach. So there's a really good blend of luxury, waterfront, and affordable, and access to jobs in Volusia County. It's a very robust ecosystem that also has affordable land opportunities. I think that will help you ultimately give the final ranking, and we want to see at least 10 counties mentioned and why they aren't in the top 8. For example, Polk is very concentrated and infrastructure and non-landlocked like this one. It has a lot of land, but not a lot of jobs either. It's good located, but not as many job growth or fringe luxury where people want to live. Pasco may have waterfront or beaches, so it may mirror Volusia County. I think non-wildlife counties or massive tracts of undevelopable land we want to avoid, like the Everglades. So this is our final thesis, and there's not that many counties in the United States that we want to be in. There might be 2 in Florida when you really hone in, and if every county in America is on, um, we want, one of the things that we're running into too, we also want access to golf course communities or luxury markets where we can sell land plats up to 200K or 300K a lot. So having a wide range of lots selling at 60 to 80K through incentive stacked land development and getting to more market rate is very good for our land fund. And that comes with the number of home transactions over 400K that are new construction. At 20%, the number of market rate lots goes up. So new build activity over 400K is probably the strongest indicator of how fast we can sell a piece of land. It doesn't have to be massive yet. It can be growing. But I think if there is a high presence of land above or a lot of home sales in that county over 400K, it's very good for us. Volusia, I think, has a good mix, probably, due to its access to extensive land tracts along the beach towns of I-95. So that is, I need this in as thorough as you can. This is almost why not Texas as well. We will eventually go over there, but Texas doesn't have the luxury high-end markets like Florida does. It's affordable and it has jobs, but the highest end part of the market, it doesn't have. So the number and amount of land developable within the I-95 corridor also really strengthens Volusia County, and all these mixed together make the best land economics of where we want large land tract options contracts and large amounts of land control until we can't find any anymore. Okay, so that's everything. So basically, where should I control land? For the last 3 weeks or 2 weeks, we've been focused all over, and we have a deal. And we need to be able to sell, to build, to rent, and build to sell. So we want to sell developments out and find a good realtor too, probably, that knows these areas. And I think that's what you're going to really see. It's that, let me look at the map here, how much Pasco has. I don't think there's a better Pasco does have substantial, but I don't know if it's beaches. They have, yeah, they do have some. It's called Gulf Harbors. Gulf Harbors, Martha Vineyard. They have Hudson Beach Estates. That someone developed. That's real nice. That's in Hudson, Florida. They have Hernando Beach, which has been pretty developed. So they do have access to multiple beach systems. Tenth most populated. This is where it's over by Tampa. If we look at Fort Myers, obviously extensive beaches. It's very famous. I think the problem though is the jobs. Fort Myers and Naples are very, it's not like Sarasota, but even then, like, I think that Tampa's really growing north. I would say Pasco County. Pasco, Polk, and Volusia counties are just amazing. The difference though is that the amount of beachfront communities, Edgewater, New Smyrna Beach, Ponce Outlet, Port Orange, South Daytona, Daytona Beach, Holly Hill, Ormond Beach, Ormond by the Sea. It just makes it and same with, I don't know what county Lake Augustine is in. Same with Jacksonville Beach. My friend moved up to Jacksonville. And I'm seeing the growth corridors up there now, which is like 90, We like that area. So I like Jacksonville a lot. I think waterfront, municipalities is great, like Fort Lauderdale and Miami. But you got to be close to job centers, which Port Canaveral obviously is. So Treasure Coast would still be another good one. As we expand, it'll be better. Okay, so the last part of this that we're typing in, and this is it's called exurban greenfield development. And that's like the one thing that I'm from Ohio that we're running into, and I have studied a lot, probably more than any land fund guy, almost where I could be a principal. Obviously, I'm a principal. I started a land fund. And we need a very strong investment thesis that no one can argue with. So you have to look at the weighted average incomes, net migrations, availability of land, ability to annexation into a good schools district, right? School districts still drive purchases. I could say the other thing could be presence of school districts like Delaware County has access to Olentangy schools and parts of Union have access to Delaware. What Ohio doesn't have is the 55 plus community. So I think it offsets, okay, and it doesn't have the lifestyle centers or beach fronts. So those markets are stronger served down here. Basically extensive hospital systems or aging care centers, etc. The land down here, we can chop up into almost any sponsor group. Land is worth what you put on it. Again, it's going to be driven by jobs. So jobs by county or by MSA or access to major job centers, which obviously Orlando is. it's almost impossible to describe all of the weighting factors. I have them in my head, but these are where you focus. Ultimately, this is my final thesis. It's like why in Houston, which it doesn't have robust zoning codes, and sometimes maybe that makes it easier, maybe that makes it hard. I don't know. Everyone has their own investment thesis. And I'm not 10 years in the business for land. I haven't done an MPC yet, which makes me where I can't really talk. But the largest greenfield incentives groups are in Texas and Florida. I can't be anywhere else. I can finance construction easy. The incentives market, I have to put two. The reason we can't do Ohio anymore is the incentives market for infrastructure offset isn't mature or robust enough for large incentives groups to come. Some will, but the leaders that do more than 1 billion in municipal bond offerings are only in Florida and Texas as well. That really limits our activity to Florida and Texas. And as you can see, almost 70% or more of the leading top 50 master planned communities are in Texas and Florida. So that's what we're saying too. Like, residential horizontal development isn't that hard. Those reflect historic absorption metrics by county and are public. And many of the Florida ones are concentrated close to job centers. Like Narada has almost 1,000 a year, and it has jobs all age, like young, old, nursing, etc. So we can develop and run multiple product lines for builders. We have only tied one site up. We made about 10 offers. Maybe 11. And I need access to a lot of land. We want to get in and out of land quick. That's how we make our money. So you start in the right places. All the players are in Florida and Texas. Our question is, where should we dedicate our resources to unlock land? And Ohio's way better jobs market. We're in a way better jobs market. But each individual fund's investment thesis is so concentrated that we can't really change it, you know? There are more institutions looking in Florida, and the presence of build to rent and build to sell by the state and number of major employment centers like Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, within close proximity, make this corridor one of the best in the entire country. Think back to Miami up to Palm Beach, but it was landlocked. Where will we be able to operate for 10 years and up and not have to change? Lennar did it here from the 50s, from the 60s, all the way till now, which it has development moratoriums. They can't anymore. So where is Lennar expanding? I think the number of communities of the largest builders, aka Lennar and DR Horton, overlapping helps us. We don't have them in Ohio. And I think every builder in America has a Florida presence. So that's the difference between Ohio. So this is kind of our final investment thesis. It's builders, the number and breadth of builders and groups we can talk to in land context. It's almost not even worth it. We don't even need to because they're so far upstream. Even builders are. They're post infrastructure, they're post entitlements. But even then, when we grab raw land, we have to do zoning, soils, engineering, appraisal and development advisory. We have to do incentives, like fast track incentives through municipal bonds, converting infrastructure into incentives, infrastructure budgets. Then we have to master plan the land tract around engineering. And then we can start talking to builders. After we submit a preliminary engineering plat, but it's good to start with initial conversations. That's why the fast tracked areas help. We can have a mix of areas we are incorporating and also fast track development opportunities. That's why we took this site. It's very, very difficult to find land tracts that are within municipalities that have the rights to it. And when you have one, looking back at it, you have to say, what is feasible here? You know, if you don't want to go buy rural land, which we do, but it takes longer, then the question is, what can we do? And this is meant to share. This report is also meant to share with sellers of land because it can help them understand why my land, why me, why 12 months, why do you not just buy it? And our answer is we'd rather lose 5% of the purchase price for options than the entire price. If we can't develop it, no one can, and we are willing to spend the money to find out. In reality, we really like land under 20K an acre. Close to urban growth corridors. And Deltona is an example of that within a larger ecosystem that we are describing. But I think this is meant to be the master committee principles and bylaws to guide our investment committee on direction of our fund, which is in pre-IPO. Basically, the founding principles. The idea is to de-risk land purchasing and planning and ultimate disposition as great as possible. The only thing that moves through our fund is control of land and incentives. This is like a Harvard educated boot camp on what we look for. And this is from somebody that's been just only offering and talking to institutions every single day about land. We share this as a tool. This will be used as a tool to share with commercial advisory firms as well that can represent our fund on the front end of expansion outside of Florida. In cities like Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Austin, Phoenix, Charlotte, Nashville, Savannah, etc. But this is our territory in Florida where we don't need help. Since I am out of Miami and I understand the supply very well. Think of Miami-Dade County. You have everything from Leisure City to Aston Martin Penthouse in Brickell. Unlimited height district. And I think at first we went to 2 rural or non-job centers. So it's not really of interest to a lot of firms. We've heard great external feedback on Deltona overall from engineering groups. These groups are seeing the submarkets because they do the planning and platting. So number of new plats would be a good metric to follow. And we always do a deep dive into the county to see that. When I looked at Polk, I didn't see as many. In areas like Delaware County in Ohio, there are 22 or 25 different subdivisions in one county. Same with Union County. That's a good indicator of submarket strength. But you have to add in cost of land. We are focused on land under 20 to 40K right now. As our fund starts, we need to take less risk and tie up sites at a lower basis. Basically, under 10% of after installed infrastructure value. And when we add incentives, it almost adds another 20 to 30%. So we can't do Ohio since the offerings aren't as strong right now, I'd say. And the number of counties and infrastructure is not enough. We need access to 10 plus counties across the state and 2 to 3x the builders like Florida shows. That's basically our problem. So if you were to identify round one, which is here's our round one of offers. Let's see how many we wrote. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 offers so far. And we're getting ready to write our 11th. After every 10 offers we write, it only helps us. Ugh. And I should group those up by county. I think county is going to be our market and how we group these. And in my opinion, we probably don't even need to develop in more than 10. We see land funds taking massive positions in submarkets. They have competitive advantage and knowledge in. Our goal is to get land worth the most money. Can I find a site of it's still super slow. So our goal is to make land the worth. Now down here in Brickell, another thing we can do is look at land transfers in that county and study activity and ranges. We can pull public records and start to understand institutional and off-market public transaction activity. This is a super advanced look at it. This is like well forward thinking. We're like way, way, way ahead of the curve. If you're offering in all these counties, you're getting an understanding of discipline. And if I offer the same terms in the same 10 counties, where am I getting those offers accepted, right? So I think, where we used to, in Ohio, we have to have builders. I'm waiting for this. In Ohio, we have to have builder confidence and in some markets, but down here, I think there's some counties that it doesn't matter where the land is. There's a pivot as you tie land up. You don't need to have that confidence. if it's already there. If I know that I can put a Walmart on this and sell the land, or if the basis is low enough, I don't have to be worried about it, which is what we're seeing where we're from. That because of the number of builders down here in Florida and also in Texas, because of the number of institutions, it doesn't really matter how much you are worried. You know, I'm going to type this up because I don't know where things are right now, but basically in Ohio, we have to have an LPA or builder, and that's how a lot of land funds have thought. They wouldn't tie land up without a buyer in mind. That extremely limits their opportunities and also their growth. We believe in the right areas and counties where the number of available land buyers exceeds that amount that you need, which I would say is 10, all 10 builders in Ohio, then we can get much more confident and control much larger amounts of land and have diverse opportunities. So our growth as county-driven assignments is basically what counties could I extract 10 million in land proceeds per year guaranteed and get a very high return on an employee if I hire them. Someone like an engineer who works with a real estate agent to gauge feasibility. So if I hire 10 engineers that are civil, and each engineer has a county, I think obviously it would be Polk, Pasco, Volusia, and then what other 7 counties? In Florida, I don't know if there's another county that's good enough. Maybe maybe Sumter. Let's look at these. Oh yeah, Sumter. But we have to look at the net new. It's not by percentages, it's by number of new residents. Hillsborough, Polk, can you take this and only account for permanent relocation and net new residents? Accounting for, what would it be? For, people leaving. And do the top 10 in Florida. So if you move to that county, do you stay for like a year or two? Net new. And can you put the assigned MSA for each one? And if it's not in a top MSA, just say no top MSA. So we have to say what MSA is that associated with, which I think Volusia is going to be an amazing because it's tough. So what we're seeing here is that, which is just amazing. And can you overlay new job creations by county? Is this being driven by jobs and access to larger MSA? Hillsborough, finance, tech, healthcare, corporate relocations, Lee, tourism, healthcare, education, affordable coastal living. That's what we talked about. Counties like Polk and Hillsborough have seen substantial job growth, logistics, manufacturing, and healthcare. Many of these are also adjacent to MSA. Areas like St. John's have become attractive for remote. That's the same with where we're at. Florida led the nation in net firm migration with 503 favorable. There you go. This is a phenomenal. And I can say, can you do a write-up for Florida and Texas for the top 10 counties like this? And only counties with net migrations over 10,000. New net migrations. Texas may not have as many. We'll look here to see if Texas has more. Florida's population growth was entirely driven by net migration, as natural increase was negative. Polk, Pasco, Hillsborough, Brevard, Marion, Lake, St. Lucie, Palm Beach, Volusia, and Osceola. Texas has 4 only: Denton, Williamsburg, Tarrant, Collin. Both states offer counties benefiting from job growth, technology, healthcare, and logistics. Counties with major like Tampa, Orlando, Dallas, and Austin net migration, access to urban job markets and amenities is a significant draw. And I think what Florida has is retirees and a massive mobile home. So the housing scale from luxury and ultra luxury waterfront to integration of water features and stormwater within master planned communities makes it ideal, despite the low footprint of some sites. Can you basically expand this and do the charts you had and show that Florida as an anchor for a land fund, why you'd pick it over Texas, where the unlimited land supply has a lower upside for long-term land banking? And our backbone is on affordable housing, like houses under 400,000, and incentives, which both states have extremely strong incentives. But you don't see the net migrations of retirees in Texas. It might be more young people or close, but I think it's too spread out and not concentrated, which is amazing for a land fund. Concentration and land constrained growth through our incentive stacking, site identification, and entitlement and infrastructure de-risking platform, we stand a competitive advantage in Florida, I think, more. Basically, we want this to weigh both states and show why a land fund would anchor in Florida versus Texas. And corporate relocations could help when both have similar net migrations. Coastline and waterfront, aging population, percentage of residents in mobile homes. It means every sector of horizontal housing is here. And the tail ends or fringes push the values up substantially compared to a lot of Texas that is undeveloped, like West Texas. We have access to the same amount of resources and land and jobs and college access. Number of college grads or universities could also help. I am sure Florida has more public and private four-year accredited institutions. And it also has tourism, which is a much stronger market. So those combined, and maybe overall economy size, maybe Florida is larger. I'm not sure. But even though net migrations trade off as number one or two and vary, I think we are focused on a holistic look, like healthcare, aging baby boomer, and number of institutions who need land supply for their housing driven anchored growth. affordable housing, etc. This is still typing up. I don't think it can type on two different ones. Let's look though. Look at that. We got two typing at once. Texas is great, but I think when you really apply the economics of how we can grow, this is the most exhaustive look. And this is based on right now, today, what's happening. I just went up in Georgia and looked, and there's just not a lot of jobs up there, you know? You're getting very, very far outside of the metros at this point. There's not really like a lot of metros blending together. The reason we don't like Georgia is because even though some institutions do, it doesn't have the blending municipalities like Columbus Cincinnati corridor, Dayton Cincinnati corridor, and Dayton Columbus corridor. Which makes like a lot of the growth in Ohio is along smaller corridors. Let's see what it says here. Florida Land Fund investment thesis, 12-month fast track infill and ex-urban greenfield strategy. This report outlines foundational principles and target geographies of a Florida-focused land fund designed to capitalize on fast track, incentive stack, and infill greenfield land development opportunities. This investment thesis is driven by robust net migration, infrastructure maturity, multi-demographic demand, and builder and institutional absorption capacity within 45 miles of job center metros. Our core criteria are net migration, 10,000 plus new residents annually per county. Incorporated land share, favoring counties where 25% plus of land is within municipalities for fast zoning. Sewer, water, and storm systems with proximity to lift stations and capacity. Highway access, presence of major interstate corridors, I-95, I-4, I-75. Active builder presence, top 10 builders have active communities. Proximity to job centers within 45 miles of major employment hubs. Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville. Zoning and entitlement velocity. Fast track. Whoops. Fast track. Where do we go there? Development, clear, comprehensive plans. Demographic, entry-level move up and 55 plus, as well as luxury. Near hospitals, beaches, retail corridors, schools, and golf lifestyle amenities. Under 20 an acre preferred, ideally 10% or less of installed lot value. And I would say that's based on entry level. Here's the ranks. Number one, Volusia County. 40% of land incorporated, 16 municipalities. Infrastructure is urban core ready. Water sewer capacity in Deltona, Edgewater, DeLand. Bordered by job centers, Orlando and Flagler, Jacksonville corridor to the north. Diverse housing segments, luxury coastal, workforce inland. Strong land tract availability east and west, I-95 and I-4. Builder activity. Engineering community reports, active platting pipeline. Incentive CRLA and utility expansion policy. Pasco County. 35% incorporated, anchored by Newport Richey, Zephyllus, and Dade City. Adjacent to Tampa, strong I-75 and US 19, strong master plan presence, Miratus and Epperson, job proximity, utility supports BTR, utility and roadway, expansion underway east of Wesley Chapel, mid-sized lot pricing with exit value up to 200K a lot and high growth tracks. Polk County, high net migrations, but only 25% incorporated. Major employment hubs, strong location, but not job rich itself. That's true. It also doesn't have any coastlines. DR Horton Leonard Highlands, especially in Winter Haven. Large tracts available, but may require upfront infrastructure spend, which would be the incentives that we're talking about. Most difficult zoning entitlement prices are outside of incorporated limits. That's exactly right. Lower lot pricing potential, but higher competition for base product. That's right. St. John's, high income, but fully built out. Lee County, coastal, high retiree, labor shortages. Charlotte, overbuilt, lacks diversity, 55 plus. Hernando, some tracks, but limited infrastructure. Gainesville, college driven, not top. Marion, Ocala, similar to Ochula. Why not Ohio? Ohio lacks utility zoning overlays and mature incentive systems. We do have mature, but the groups themselves aren't mature. It's 5 years away. Few major builders present. DR and MDR dominated. Limited absorption. That's 100% right. Lower resale values. No coastal or lifestyle markets. Infrastructure finance, rare or upscale. Nearly 70% of top MPCs are in Texas and Florida. Florida has builders, statewide CRA and TIF. And add in the Texas counties. And maybe one ranks the best, which would be Houston, probably, is what we have seen where that $800 million land purchase was by Starwood. So we want to add in the fast growing counties in Texas and say, where in Texas do we want to go? We'd have to look at the zoning. I don't think they have really I have to learn more about the zoning system there. Coastline. Let's look at Texas. Anchored by major. Starwood, 800 million near Houston's outskirts. Strongest absorption in Texas across all price points. Extensive land tracts. Collins County, North Dallas. Fueling tech and white collar growth. San Antonio. I'd also focus on Houston as an energy and shipping market. So similar to Florida, like Jacksonville, it has ports and Miami. So transportation and industrial growth and distribution is the strongest for manufacturing, which is the highest net job creating sector by per 1,000 square feet, like medical. Could you comment on the zoning overlays in Brown County? I think that's the one I heard that is bad. You can, and maybe of slight risk, but I want to see how is zoning over there. Florida and Texas land fund investment thesis, 12-month fast track infill and exurban greenfield. Foundational principles, highway access, proximity to job centers. If anchored by major ones. Shared economics, Jacksonville industrial logistics, healthcare, extensive strongest absorption. I don't see any comments about the other investment thesis is number of adjacent counties growing by more than 10K per year net, which I think Florida wins. If you can add that, it would help. So Pasco and Polk and Hillsborough, Orange County, and some of the coastal, where are there 2 to 3 county clusters? Texas may not have that, including Houston, which allows regional growth with institutions and not and multi-county deployment. Let's see what it comes up with. Multi-county regional growth. Priority of counties that are surrounded by 2 to 3 adjacent counties also experiencing it. Bordered by high growth counties, Orange, Flagler, Seminole. 3-county cluster with Orlando growth spillover and coastal job migration. Workforce, Pasco, Polk. Adjacent to MSAs. Polk County. Lacks adjacent counties growth in tandem at scale seen in Florida's I-4. Collins County. Limited affordable land remaining, but top tier. Bexar. Fast growing military angle, abundant land. Williamson, high growth. Why not? Why Florida? Florida's added edge of 3 to 4 county. I'd go within Florida and Texas and say one after that. So VIIA and VIIB, and VIIB is Florida's edge. I don't know where I was typing. I'd go to VII and split it into VIIA. You have, and VIIB, which is Florida versus Texas, why Florida has the edge. And look at birth rate growth, Hispanic population growth, and babies by race, coastal access, stronger and larger clustering of fast growth corridors, land scarcity economics due to wildlife reserves, shipping markets, tourism markets, aging population growth, corporate relocations by state, overall economy size. And I think you need to show why we probably won't ever enter Texas. Let's see. Let's see what it says. densely interconnected migration corridors. I'd add I-75. Land scarcity. Developable land is reduced by state protected wetlands, wildlife, and coastal environmental boundaries, creating true scarcity. Tourism. Number one tourism state and home to global cruise logistics aerospace hubs. Texas can't replicate. Aging. The most 55 plus in the country. Sustained 55 plus communities and repeat. Coastal access. Atlantic and Gulf access supports both lifestyle and segmentation, unlike landlocked. Demographics, Hispanic population birth growth rates are outpacing Texas, particularly in Central and South. Support entry level, institutional scale. Zoning, while Texas is attractive tech of life sciences, financial, healthcare, and religious economic anchors, multiple. For these reasons, we anticipate remains a powerful and complementary. Our land fund is likely to ever prioritize large-scale expansion into Texas. Surgically via institutional code GB and high absorbent submarkets, but not for a principal controlled long-term landhold. It's basically like Forestar. Forestar has taken the largest positions and moved it out of Georgia, I think, where they started into Texas. And they have no Florida corporate headquarters. More than likely, our corporate headquarters, as we grow, will be in Orlando due to its proximity to the entire market of what we talk about. I'd like to see more stats in the Texas versus Florida by numbers, like total population, total counties growing at more than 10K net, miles of coastline, number of port cities, and tourism market cap total etc. Back number of corporate relocations and new jobs, and number of universities, which could go to one or the other. But again, this is to show the edge. Maybe state school size like Florida State and UF and University of Tampa and FIU, those types of large feeder schools for corporations may be higher. I just want to focus again on why we won't go to Texas. Also, the rank of MPCs. Florida has the villages for the number of top 10 MPCs, which represent the largest land tract holdings in the nation. Concentrated. So if you look at land concentrations of the top 50 MPCs, my guess is while Texas and Florida are similar, the largest by state favors Florida. Think Babbitt Ranch, the villages. We are talking 10-year plus MPCs. Let's see what we come up with. Why Florida? Adjacent counties growing. Pasco, Polk, County Orange. Multi-county clustering. Let's see if there is a. Is there any other clustering you can add that are 10K plus? Like Osceola, template plus touching. Like even Sumter touches those. We want to focus on that clustering infill. Does any touch Volusia that grows by that? If not, add more to the Tampa cluster, like Sarasota if it has 10K, or Sumter, which I think has 10K. I think there are 16 counties, and any county cluster that is disconnected, we want to list there. Disconnected high growth counties. Collier, Naples offer isolated growth. This is really what we're looking at. Florida's added edge has a 3 to 4 county regional migration clusters. Tampa, Polk, Hillsborough, Sarasota, Manatee. Central, Orange, Osceola, Lake Polk, and North Central is Marion, Sumter, and Lake. What? I think what stops the disconnect is the county between Volusia, but it has large cities and its size is more robust and mature than Polk and Pasco concentrations. It's more of a true infill. Volusia borders Flagler and Seminole, both growing steadily. Mega regions, Jacksonville to Orlando, and benefits from adjacencies to that. It also has proximity to, let's see what county is NASA in? Florida. Brevard County. Growth rate. If we broke up the clustering by 5 to 10K and 10K plus, I think that will show Brevard, etc., the counties we are talking about. It may open up some in Texas, but as an entry level fund for year one, we want to focus on 5 to 10 growth rings which Ohio doesn't even have one. Neither, I don't think Georgia barely does either. That's the difference of Texas. And the county rings and size are much smaller in Texas. Can you add that in that area? Let's see here. Central Florida North, supplemental growth rings, Brevard, Seminole, Flagler, Hernando, buffer markets around core clusters with infill, critical infrastructure and service spillover. I think land basis economics make those. Let's see here. I think land economics make an area like Volusia and those good fast track anchors or lower basis breadth for tiered land pricing anchored by 10 to 20K, 20K to 40K, and 40K to 60K, which you can't get in most of the Tampa and Central Florida areas without getting to the soft market. So land supply under 20K means we should have breadth in those. That's what we're studying, the lowest land basis is. Multi-county regional growth rate. Surrounded by 2 to 3 adjacent, also experiencing 10K or 5 to 10K net migrations. Why Florida? Top 20 builders. I'd also focus on land control. I'd also focus on public builder land control, which still shows the top 2 states with the most options contracts on lots are Texas and Texas. So where are public builders optioning and controlling the most land holdings? It's Texas and Florida. Disconnected. Mature infrastructure, builder presence, infill, Pasco, second core market. Polk offers Houston is clear Texas counterpart, but unlikely to be a long-term hold for us. Unmatched depth of absorption, infrastructure, segmentation, and institutional level. We are an ex-urban greenfield investment fund focused on unlocking the future of housing through strategic incentive-backed land control and builder-aligned planning. That is absolutely the dynamic core of. Does this read like a financial statement? Does this read like a financial statement would? Like an annual report? Basically, this is our land holding and lot banking strategy. And I think we can say it's rates. I think we need this to be a 10 out of 10 to attach to our two-pager that focuses on growth, but this is our anchor state, like 4-star in Texas. There isn't a 4-star or public incorporated entity that does this in Florida with world or national headquarters here. So that also gives us a competitive advantage. Every year there isn't, it is in our advantage. This will be the final draft. 2025 Annual Land Strategy Memorandum, Florida Land Fund Investment Thesis. I would call it, we need to change that wording a little bit because we're not a Florida Land Fund. We could be, but okay, our firm is called Horizontal Land Partners, and I think the modifier is Florida Anchor, which means our land holdings in Florida will always be at least 50% as we grow. Our deployment by acreage will reflect this annual land strategy. And this drives our investment thesis. It's updated annually based on macroeconomic trends like population growth, birth rates, etc. I'd use some actual figures and reference them in the article, like where this data comes from, and you can have an index of sources. Let's see here. Make sure to mention 4-star competitor peers, etc. The use of the institutional words like MPC, exurban, greenfield, incentives like CDD, etc. will only strengthen this. So intertwine that. The presence of top tier incentive stacking, municipal bond companies makes these two states ideal as well. We don't see a limit to how big the land holdings could be in Florida. We do in Texas. Focus on mega MPCs like Babbitt Ranch. What we're looking at is, if you look here, Babbitt Ranch and the villages, how many each state has. And I think Florida still wins. That shows institutional plant deployment history that we can't change. These are all the economics that drive our pre-IPO, which you should use that fast growth plan to 175 million in revenue IPO. This is it. Florida Land Fund thesis. The 2025 for Horizontal Land Fund, a Florida anchored land acquisition and lot banking firm focused on fast track entitlement and builder aligned horizontal land development. Florida is the anchor of our model. At least 50% of our annual acreage deployment will remain at as we scale to our projected 175 million in pre-IPO revenue. Florida and Texas represent two dominant U.S. land development geographies, but Florida is unique in having no public vertically integrated land bank sponsor with headquarters in the state. As of this writing, Horizontal Land Partners is the only Florida anchor institutional platform operating with a dedicated control thesis focused on exurban, greenfield, and infield subdivision economics. This represents an unclaimed position of structural advantage. The goal is to become the lead institutional platform for land control and lot disposition in our Florida. Our role is equivalent in scope and ambition to Forestar's presence in Texas. Unlike Forestar, which focuses on large-scale land aggregation in Texas metro corridors, our firm emphasizes segmentation, infill efficiencies, and CRA CDD incentive alignment with high absorption coastal and inland corridors. Our goal is to control and process land at scale, facilitating 10 plus builder exits per region. Target framework, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Disposition, it says 10 to 20,000 acre bulk early stage. Tier 2 is 20 to 40K an acre core builder segmentation. And tier 3 is 40 to 60, which is premium infill and lifestyle nodes. Forward platted BTR and BTS across builder platforms, overlay districts with CRA, NCA and CDDs, Volusia County, Pasco County, and Polk. Top target, tiered land pricing, urban adjacent, major builder presence, and CRA aligned zoning. Pasco's after that, and then Polk. Under macroeconomic foundations, net migrations, retirement and birth rate, leads all states in retirement migrations and ranks among top 5 in Hispanic birth growth. Lot absorption, Florida and Texas account for 70% of all master plan communities. Land scarcity, 30% of Florida land is preserved or environmentally protected. Tourism, over 110 billion annually. Port and logistics infrastructure, Texas, Georgia, and Ohio. Texas has counties sizes are too large, excess land supply and disconnected NPC activity outside of Houston. Georgia has weak net migrations outside of metro. No county meets a 10K threshold. Builder alignment. Florida and Texas are the only two states where public builders. And we also want to focus on public builder headquarters, which DR Horton is in Texas and Lennar is in Florida. Public builder headquarters with the largest balance sheets is another rank to add. How does that put Florida? Ohio only has MI homes. How many public builders have their offices or corporate offices here? I'd also note where we plan to headquarter once more than 50 employees or 25 employees, which also grabs local college grad. It would be either Orlando or Tampa. Okay. I still don't like that first Florida Land Fund. Institutional lot banking, builder aligned land control, and infill driven yield. I'd like to see that exurban. Let's see here. Florida is home to corporate or divisional divisions for 6+ home builders. Lennar, Pulte, Meritage, Dream. Highest public builder count per MSA. Highest public builder count per MSA. 10+ builder lot segmentation opportunities per metro region. 4 contract structure for takedowns tied to zoning, not land carry. The Florida Gap, no 4-star equivalent headquarters, enable centralized access. Our planned headquarters, I would say. Our planned headquarters, 2027. With capital markets arm in Miami. Our infrastructure growth. I'd also argue the financial market access of Florida and overlap with New York deployment in JVs gives it a massive competitive advantage. Like land tracts selling for 100 million an acre in Brickell, we become the alternative to that. In the header of the memo, I'd like you to put our firm name and not Florida. We don't want to be geographically constrained. And also put exurban and greenfield in there. I think those are. MPC becomes the zoning tool that we implore for sites greater than 300 acres. Phasing is what we use for sites 40 to 300 acres. This is very well written. Can you expand this? Whoops. Our website, our financial markets team is already active in New York and Miami with our corporate headquarters planned in Orlando or Tampa in 2027. Our corporate team can work remote. And we plan to anchor our headquarters in our first 1,000+ acre multi-year MPC, which will more than likely be along those corridors. So our office will serve with our sales team mostly. That's for community sales team and land team. those MSAs is where we are focused. To access the largest builder networks in the country. We believe Orlando is better. So I just say Orlando due to the tourism market of Disney, amusement parks, and focus on annual tourism by county. It has to be the largest in the USA in orange or top 5. Make sure to expand all the earlier info we had and make this as thorough as possible. So if I'm buying a site, we know why. That includes zoning, fast track, jobs, etc., all the data we had earlier. Now we were kind of running 2 parallels here. Can you make this as thorough as possible? I'll take this and bring it in over here. I think we might have been running our split over here. And I'm just going to say, make sure that you, whenever this gets done writing, all I'm going to say is make sure you have incorporated a lot of this data and list all your sources. And that'll be it. We'll bring this in to this one. I'd like you to basically bring in all of these as well. I think Texas will become a 25% deployment over time due to the counties, but this is meant to show our plan this year. I think having all the sources and make sure this is all supported. Don't overlap or repeat, but just, I was doing some research and I want this all in one main thing. Don't change title too much. This is more for institutional level distribution, and this matches, I think, a lot of investment thesis. We can't say that Texas is worse. We just need to say it's not priority one. Our first 1,000 acres or 2,000 acres, or that's a year to expansion in 2026. Our focus this year is securing our first master planned community in Florida. Control only, 500 plus acres, multi-year sale position. And we wouldn't take that type of position in Texas. Here is all the additional info you have access to. I think the net migrations by county help a lot show how concentrated it is. Orlando will for sure be our headquarters. Okay, so this is our final combination of everything that we talked about and we've been working on, and it's what I have found. 2025 annual land strategy memorandum. Horizontal land partners, ex-urban and greenfield lot banking strategy, institutional lot control, builder segmentation, multi-tier zoning, and anchor state land deployment. This memorandum outlines a 2025 investment strategy of horizontal land partners, an ex-urban greenfield focused institutional land acquisition and lot banking firm. Our company is Florida anchored with a permanent mandate to deploy at least 50% of our capital into Florida's land markets as we scale toward 175 million pre-IPO revenue target. Florida and Texas represent two dominant U.S. geographies for land control, builder absorption, and long-term horizontal development. Our 2025 strategy prioritizes Florida as our anchor state with targeted 25 deployment into Texas, emerging in 2026 and 2027. This year, our focus is to secure our first 1,000 to 2,000 acres of entitle-ready land, including a flagship 500-acre master plan community for multi-year development and sales phasings located in Florida only. I'd add that we want to get an award-winning, LEED certified MPC land position that can rank multi-year, and typically that's at least 2,000 housing units at a density net of 4. We need a minimum 500, but our real target is 1,000. Fast velocity, smaller sites of 30 to 100 acres allow within municipal incorporated land is also a priority to accelerate cycle times of land dispositions by staying within overlays and incorporated land areas. That reflects at least 50% of our Florida deployment. Annexation and unincorporated may be considered if there are fast pathways. While Forestar prioritizes non-municipal annexation strategy, which allows for larger land tract holdings, ours is split equally to represent minimum subdivision sizes of 100 housing units for public builders. Anything less than 30 acres is tough for this. Okay, let's see what it comes up with. Horizontal land partners, ex-urban and greenfield lot banking strategy, institutional lot control, builder segmentation, multi-tier zoning, and anchor state land deployment. Alrighty. An ex-urban and greenfield focused institutional land acquisition and lot banking firm. Now we need to be less housing driven. We need to not just be housing driven. It's at least 50% mandate as well for housing driven initiatives. But Florida's industrial and energy land development are just as strong. Okay, so we have a couple institutional land control for housing, industrial, and energy development. Ex-urban and greenfield lot banking strategy, which still doesn't I'd add instead of lot bank. Instead of lot banking, I'd say land banking. But I think having a 60% focus on the most mature part of the industry, which is horizontal land development for subdivisions for public builders, represents more than 1 million lots tied up, or 250,000 acres by builders at one time. And it's the most robust, concentrated, and mature entitlement exit strategy. Change the title from lot to land. Okay. So what we're saying is horizontal land partners, ex-urban and greenfield land banking deployment, institutional land control for housing, industrial, and energy development, which are the three. I would say what you're still missing there is medical, retail, and mixed use. We'll see when this is all done. This reads like an annual report. So we'll let it finish here. And housing anchored, I would say institutional land control for a housing anchored fund with additional deployments into industrial energy, retail. And I think you are missing hospitality, retail, medical, and mixed use. So we want to make sure that, again, it's a housing anchored Florida, anchored with other asset classes as we open up expansion. Our first 2 years, the focus is on fast absorbing housing, fast absorbing public builders. I have never seen this. Let's see the final version here in the chat. I want to copy paste. Don't leave anything out. Institutional read ready that I could share with any public builder, any build to rent firm, any broker, any engineer, any land surveyor, any real estate agent, any landholder, and they get a crystal clear idea of who we are and what we do. This will be something that we submit with our offers. And it is very, 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 very backed. We have our 2-pager on this. And make sure this is as lengthy and data backed as possible with references. This is a very disciplined strategy that I've developed by making those first 10 offers. Those first 10 offers represent probably 60 to 70 hours of my personal time looking at deals and filtering out hundreds and hundreds of sites, thousands of acres. And your positions over time become much greater. Having a lot of deals, I'm finding unbelievable deals, but as you gobble up land holdings and as you get more capital, those numbers go away. So you have to have a cap, a growth plan. We also don't plan to expand out of Florida until we hit our pre-IPO raise of 50 million and close the raise. So we don't plan, it's a 2-year raise. We expect to within 2 years by the end of 2026. Institutional land control for housing, industrial, energy, medical, and mixed-use development. You know, retail isn't really on its own. You don't see a lot of retail-driven, Florida-based anchored institutional land banking platform focused on ex-urban and greenfield acquisitions, unlock and de-risk large-scale, fast-track residential and mixed-use land opportunities for institutional home builders, build-to-rent operators, and infrastructure-aligned end users. We specialize in tiered land deployment anchored in Florida and target large and title-ready, entitlement-capable sites. Our strategy emphasizes horizontal development economics, capitalizing on demographic inflows and public builder land control trends, and land scarcity along Florida's coastal and inland corridors. Our 2025 strategy, prioritizing securing our first 1,000 to 2,000 acres of control-ready land, delivering a 500-plus acre master plan community along with long-term absorption, LEED certification eligibility, and phasing plan supporting 2,000-plus units, acquiring fast-track subdivisions between 30 to 100 acres within municipal overlays and active utility zones, ideal for 12 to 24-month builder takedowns, maintaining an average land entry basis under $3 million per site with a firm cap at $5 million to limit entitlement. We maintain a permanent Florida focus until our pre-IPO capital raise of $50 million is completed. Until then, 100% of land acquisition and deployment will remain in Florida. And that's after our site in Ohio didn't go well. While our focus is housing driven, we actively evaluate high value use cases across medical, hospitality, light industry, and retail center anchors to serve public-private zoning overlays and respond to infrastructure-led economic development. These projects are managed by our special projects division and allows us to maximize zoning and disposition optionality for institutional capital partners. Platform mandate, anchor strategy, minimum 50% across growth counties in central and coastal Florida, resident sector allocation, residential SFR and BTR is 60%, industrial and energy, medical and hospitality. Project targets 100 to 500 for MPCs, subdivision 30 to 100, minimum subdivisions are 100 units. Maximum entry site, target entry site, headquarters planned in Orlando in 2027, co-located with our first institutional scale MPC, active financial capital market teams in New York and Miami. Strategic comparison, top builder at Florida versus Texas. We talk about it. County level migration clusters, 10K plus new residences. And you see the diversity and breadth of these areas. Clustering advantage, most adjacent 10K county growth counties enabling multi-county land development. Zoning and fast track, CRA, NCA, community-driven public finance deals, CDDs, which are public-ready bond package infrastructures, PD MPCs, SHIP and LIHTC, and municipal utility overlays. Unlike Texas's MUDs and ETJs, supports mixed-use stormwater integrated incentive stack development at scale. Builder strategy, Florida public builder presence. Every major public builder has significant land control. Lennar, Dreams, builder lot control. Florida and Texas cover over 60% of public builder lot options. Our strategy is to deliver phased. Horizontal development targets. Control 2,000 acres in Florida, 6 to 10 counties with high absorption incentive overlays. Execute a first LEED eligible MPC. Deliver 15 plus subdivisions, which, again, if we're offering on 10 a month, that means I need to get 1 in 10, which we're already averaging. Pursue multi-sector entitlement and maintain flexible zoning readiness and land pricing of 10 to 20, 40 to 60. Land above 60 is considered for special projects only. Long-term strategic advantage. Florida as anchor, Orlando headquarters, Texas as future expansion, no entry into any other U.S. markets until Florida portfolio scales past 10,000 lots or 50 million capital raise is closed. Prepared for horizontal land partners. I would say by 2025 in our website. Yep. Prepared for institutional level development and ground up or institutions focused on horizontal exurban greenfield development. And our website is horizontallandpartners.com. So when we make an offer on a site, it fits our description that we just put together here. It's not prepared for, it was prepared by Horizontal Land Partners for those groups with balance sheets greater than 1 billion typically. Public and private. So as in the first 30 days here, what we've gone through and determined is that while we could, this is more of our acquisitions. As I grow, if I hire someone in Montana, if you're a capital markets lead, okay, how would you rate this 1 to 10? I think it's good enough. It could always be better. And that's why we need to get a Florida anchored project. So everyone's going to ask about our track record. And annual land strategy memorandum. Now, this is based on, first we had to kind of get the concentration, but after everything that I've seen and after this week, every week we're hitting new milestones. And this week we wrote our land strategy memorandum here. So I can take this and we're going to write an article on LinkedIn, which you guys know we do all the time. I'm going to paste this as an article. And you do an end call to action as well as a larger hashtag cluster. I think that we could take 1,000-acre land position in Volusia County right now without even questioning it, right? But you have to have discipline. So you have to have an investment thesis and then you have to deploy it. You can't just go in having it has to fit your land strategy, your land acquisition strategy. Right? So there you go. And then we're just going to make a cover image here. And that is what we just wrote was, today I'm also making an offer on a 40-acre site in Volusia County. And a lot of these words, exurban, greenfield, is, Florida has a lot better access to that type than Ohio does by municipal overlays. It has a much larger, Ohio's great, 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 great. But you cannot grow as fast, even close. And I can't focus on what can't make us money. So I'm leaving my home state. It's announced May 10th. We can't deploy money there anymore.